Good morning, Austin, Texas, and welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Today Show. I'm your host, Jason Randall, and in our studios today, we have Priority Title, Markus.
Good morning, everyone.
And Chris Beltran from Barton Creek Lending.
Good morning, everybody.
And from Remax Elite, we have Patricia Guerrero.
Good morning.
So Chris Beltran wanted to chime in on the fun fact, so I'm going to let Chris give you the fun fact. Go for it, Chris.
Okay, did you know in Scotland, when a homeowner paints their door red, that means they paid their mortgage off?
Interesting. That's
Very
a fun
cool.
fact.
I did not know that, but that's
Me
cool.
neither.
Do they do that in Germany?
They do not. Nope.
Okay, so Chris is getting a little froggy today. So let's go with Markus. So Markus, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us what you did prior to being with Priority Title.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll start at the top. I want to just let everybody in Austin know it's a big German heritage around here. I'm born and raised in Germany. Came to the United States when I was 15. I've been fortunate enough to have a German mom, a German dad, and an American mom. But been in the title insurance industry for about 15 years now. I used to be with Land America. A lot of people you out there probably remember that name. And then before that with Epic Real Estate Solutions. And with Epic, I served as the president. That company sold last year. And since last year, I'm with a new company, Priority Title. We're a national title company, but I'm responsible for all of Texas. And so we're doing some pretty cool things here in Texas. I think we're going to talk about that today, Jason, right?
We are. We're going to have a fun time with the title for sure.
Yeah.
So Chris, tell us a little bit about you. So how long have you been in the mortgage industry?
In the mortgage industry, let me clear my throat here. So I've been going at it for probably, I'm going to say 15 years. I've lost count, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Too long to remember.
Okay. And where were you at prior to being at Barton Creek Lending?
Barton Creek Lending. I worked at Guild Mortgage prior to then, PNC Bank, Wells Fargo Bank, Citibank. A lot of time on the banking side of mortgage banking.
I think you and I met when you were at Wells, right?
Yes, we did.
Far West Boulevard?
Yep.
Good stuff. Yep. So next thing, a little bit about Patricia Guerrero. Tell us a little bit about you, where you came from but prior to being a real estate agent.
I was in Virginia prior to just being here. And I was traveling a lot. I was doing hair.
Okay.
Did hair, more like editorial work. So did Fashion Week, did all that fun stuff, did a whole bunch of photo shoots, just fun stuff with hair. And then I moved here and I got interested in real estate. So
You had spent a little time in New York.
a lot of time in New York, a lot of traveling and all that good stuff.
Nice. So let's go into title. So Markus, tell us a little bit, what is title insurance and why is it important for a person purchasing a piece of property to have title insurance? Let's kind of start our episode with that.
Yeah, absolutely. The home that you're buying, that you're purchasing, is probably going to be one of the biggest investments that you make in your life. And so one of the things that you want to do is you want to protect that investment, right? Title insurance, I'm going to explain it to you like this. Car insurance is kind of, everybody's familiar with that term, what car insurance is. You don't like to pay it every month, but you have to.
Yep.
And the reason you pay it is in case a future event happens that your insurance company will take over the financial obligation of whatever that is, that accident, getting that car fixed. Mm-hmm. So it insures you against the future. That's what car insurance does. Title insurance is a little bit different than that. It doesn't insure you against future events, but it insures you against the past. So when you're buying a property, you want to make sure that you're the rightful owner. And when you have an owner's policy, because you bought the property and now you're the owner, it will protect you from somebody from the past stepping forward and laying claim to your property.
So let's talk about that. So let's say there's an IRS lien on Johnny's property, and Sam's buying the property from Johnny. Sam actually goes in and gets title insurance. Johnny has a $50,000 IRS lien on the property. How does that work? So when he closes, there will be a clear title because Chris, being the lender, will require a mortgage policy too, correct?
That is correct.
So explain to me how that all goes down and if you've seen anything like that.
Yeah, so for instance, right, if in the scenario that you just mentioned where the buyer wants to purchase the property and then in the title search, it is revealed that there is a prior owner tax lien is what we refer to it. It's attached to the property, then we have to deal with it, right? It either has to get paid off or we have an issue, right? That's what we're going to require to issue an owner's policy, or to issue a lender's policy, because the lender, Chris in this particular instance, he wants to have first lien position, and that's what we're insuring his policy for. That's what we're giving him insurance for. And so without taking care of that prior owner tax lien, we can't give him first lien position. We can't insure that, and then we can't insure the owner that there's no other prior issues that could step forward. So that tax lien has to be addressed in the purchase transaction.
So layman's term is anything prior to the buyer purchasing the property, they're protected for life.
That's right.
For life.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And in the state of Texas, I think you guys are. I know you guys are familiar with it, right? The Texas Department of Insurance sets the title insurance rates, and while they're healthy in the state of Texas, it's a small amount of money that you pay to have the comfort and the assurance that you're protected by either an owner's policy if you're a buyer or a lender's policy if you're a lender, right? So it's crucial. And so I just want everybody to understand, the importance of that. So make the investment, make sure you use the right title company to get you the right policy and insurance needs.
And with your closing that you've had lately, how many of them have not used title insurance?
None of them.
So
I really require every single one of my clients to use it just to protect them. I mean, I wouldn't be doing my job and looking out for their back if I were to be like, you can skip that part, because then it's like, what if 10 years down the road, then something comes up because they're trying to sell their house, and all this time they could have gotten sued. Or
so you basically educate them through the process. So you say, hey, you don't really require, but more educate them and say, this is in your best interest. So this is what would be in your best interest. So if you don't, here's the repercussions.
Exactly.
Perfect. And then putting somebody with priority title, they can explain it through the process. And that's basically those decisions can be made at the point of contract, and that can be passed off, that expense. Typically, what you see in the contracts is through the seller.
Yeah.
So it's a common expense that the buyers don't even pay, but it's just a layer of protection. How long does it take to get a title insurance policy, typically?
How long does it take?
Typically.
Once we close, it's usually within a week.
Okay.
The policy is issued, both of them. If it's a purchase transaction, and then the owner's policy will be issued, and then the lender's policy would be issued if there's a lender's involved as well.
Okay, awesome. So a couple of things we wanted to go over today was the closing process. So I'm going to let Chris kind of chime in a little bit on this. So the closing process, can you give us a little details of the closing process from the time the contract's written to actually going to the actual closing that's directly involved with title? So what involvements does title have? And Chris, and you can chime in too, the lending part from the time approval is to actually closing. Can we give them a snapshot of what that process looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that a home buyer does, right, if they want to engage the right team, they want to make sure that they get a good realtor if they're looking for a property. Patricia, proven to be one of those, does a really, really great job, cares about her customers. My pleasure. I know what a great job you do. And then Chris, from a lending perspective, he does a fantastic job on the front end, making sure that customers are pre-qualified and have the pre-approval in place, right? So that's the first thing that happens. The title company doesn't get involved until a home is found and a contract is signed, right? That's when we get the contract and we start doing the title work. We'll research the records of the property to make sure that we can transition the ownership from the previous owner to the new buyer.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, it all comes together through the closing process. That's what you're talking about. And closing being synonymous with the signing of the documents and then the dispersing of the funds, the seller getting their proceeds, and then the buyer at the end of it has a property that they can move into. And then, like I said, after the signing and the disbursement happens, within a week of that, we'll issue all of those policies.
And then also, another thing you also want to do research on is a home warranty company. So that's kind of a tricky thing that you, as a consumer, get to choose. So in the point of time when you write the contract, how many contracts do you actually write with home warranties, Patricia?
Pretty much all of them.
Okay, pretty much all of them. And I've had a huge success with OneGuard. I don't know if you've used
OneGuard is
them.
awesome.
Yeah.
Elaine Maxey, she's great.
She's done a great job. There was actually a gentleman at my house this morning that actually worked on my air conditioner and replaced the coil, and I got a check directly from them. My policy was $450, I think, ish, and they're writing me a check for $1,000 to replace a coil. So it works to your advantage to know which home warranty companies out there are to your advantage. They're all good, but some are even great. So OneGuard, Elaine Maxey, she does a great job. So inside that, Chris, tell us a little about the lending from your perspective on the closing. After you go through, the pre-approval part, what's the next thing? Is it you collect docs, and then what's next after that?
Right. So generally, you're going to get pre-approved up front before you actually start looking for a home.
Correct.
That's something you don't want to put the cart before the horse and start looking before you've got at least some sort of an idea as to what, are you qualified to purchase a home? Does the payment fit within the budget? And is your credit score in line? And is everything kind of put together there from an approval perspective? And as was once said by Markus, once you go into the contract, basically the title company kind of facilitates the whole thing in terms of putting the deal together from between the buyer and the seller and the realtors involved. But ultimately, we gather all the documents, we send them into processing and underwriting. Once we're done with that, you get what's called a clear to close. The documents are then sent. The actual documents are then sent electronically to the title company, who then arranges for the actual closing.
Signatures from the buyer and the seller, and then you, Markus, then send, after all signatures are done, sent back to the lender to verify everything's been done, and then you'll send an authorization code. Is that correct?
Yeah, funding authorization, right. And then the proceeds are dispersed from the lender to the title company, who then disperses them on out there.
So just give everybody's number out. Markus, can you give everybody your contact information real quick?
Yeah. I'll give you my cell phone number. It's 412-848-2581. Call me anytime. That's my cell phone number.
Even if you just have questions. I mean, if you have title questions and you've got questions. And Chris Beltran, do you want to give them out your number?
Yeah, I'm at 512-563-8471, and my email is chris@bartoncreeklending.com.
Awesome. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. And we're back here today on the episode of the Real Estate Today Show. I'm your host, Jason Randall. And in the studio today, I have Priority Title Markus.
Hi, how you doing?
And from Barton Creek Lending, we have Chris Beltran.
Hello.
And the all-famous Patricia Guerrero with RE/MAX Elite.
Hola.
Hey.
Hi.
So we're going to talk a little bit about Patricia real quick. Patricia, you are a RE/MAX Elite agent. You did very well this past month. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about you. So you speak French,
Spanish, and
English and sign language.
Sign language, I do.
That's really impressive. It's
you.
a very huge credentials.
What can I say? I love communicating with people, right?
Hey, that's
Can
good.
never have too many languages.
So, where do you focus most of your focus on when it comes to your clients? Where are you seeing a lot of traffic in your personal business?
I have focus, meaning
Cedar Park, Round Rock.
Oh yeah, like Cedar Park, Round Rock, Pflugerville, Georgetown.
So kind of north
northern,
and northwest.
yeah.
Okay.
Elgin, also actually a few in Elgin, maybe.
Nice,
yeah.
good stuff. So a little bit about you as a real estate agent. You have a Facebook page. How do people contact you?
I do. Patricia Guerrero, Realtor. And my email is patricia@austinelitehomes.com. My phone number is 512-713-3345. And that is my personal phone number. So you can call me at any time.
And text.
And text me. Yep.
I do that a lot.
A lot.
So she's done an amazing job. So if you're looking for a real estate agent that knows the market, that is an expert, Patricia Guerrero is a phenomenal agent to contact. So our episode that we're going to go into now goes back to the lending part. So we've got a lot of requests to really dig into details. Being a consumer, if you're buying a jumbo loan, we're going to talk about that first. And then we're going to go into kind of the first-time home buyer and all the other programs that are out there. Chris specializes in all of them. Him and I have been doing business together for about 5 years. Clients rave about him. So let's go into details about... we know first thing you want to do is get pre-approval. So let's talk. You and I on the break talked a little bit about a pre-approval and a conditional approval. So do you want to go to details about that so consumers know what that is? Because I'm telling you, most people don't, Chris.
Right. So when someone makes an initial call to a loan officer, they're generally going to get pre-approved, which means the loan officer is going to pull their credit, and the customer is going to apply for a loan online or face-to-face or what have you, and they're going to review their credit, talk to them a little bit about their scenario, hopefully request some supporting documentation to kind of match up what was put on the application and make sure the numbers are in alignment, and then issue an approval letter probably run what's called an automated decision engine to make sure that what they're looking for actually, that the system's rendering an approval.
I've heard of this before where actually they'll tell you one document, or excuse me, they'll tell you one amount that they make monthly, and then they'll give you a whole nother one, or you see a whole nother picture when you're actually looking at their documents, and that could cause a problem. Is that correct?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, you wouldn't believe it, but by the time you're done getting a loan, no matter what you put on your application, the information that's actually documented in the system is the exact, precise information, right on down to the date of your employment.
Remember our client that we had you and I work together on. I mean, remember the gentleman that switched jobs in the middle of
Yes. Oh my goodness.
We can mark that one in the books. But seriously, he switched jobs in the middle of purchasing a home. Didn't think about telling anybody, and lo and behold, when you did a verification of income, it was a whole new company name.
Yep. That was
and that really, honestly, consumers don't know this. So
they don't know.
The point is that you want to make sure that all the documents are there to give you a good conditional approval, so then you can honestly go purchase a home.
Right. So if you go pre-qualification, you've got the loan officer basically looking at that information. If you go a full conditional approval, what's happening is the loan officer is gathering information, getting it all corrected, and then sending it in to processing and on into underwriting, and actually having an underwriter review it and issue the approval. You
have a deal with Chris right now. Tell us a little bit about that when we talked about it, break.
So he was with a bigger bank. Don't want to mention any names. And he, was having some issues, and we went over with Beltran because he's always really good at answering his phone, and we can just get the information faster. And he's just so accurate and takes the time to, look at everything that's probably the most secure, and it's a safer bet, that it's going to go pretty smooth. There's always going to be bumps on the road, but it's going to be a lot smoother because he will take care of it.
Right.
He does it all the time.
So, Chris, how do people get a hold of you?
You can call me on my cell phone or text for that matter. I'm at 512-563-8471, or you can shoot me an email at chris@bartoncreeklending.com.
15 years experience. Chris is the right person to call for your mortgage needs, period. No questions asked. I will back that. He is amazing, phenomenal. I'm a raving fan.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Chris, real quick, one question I have, Jason, for Chris. So to consumers out there that are listening, right, you talked about what you don't really want to do in a home purchase process is change jobs. I think you also don't want to make any big purchases like buy a new car, right? Like, can you touch on that real quick?
Yeah, so ultimately, whenever you connect with the lender to get pre-qualified or conditionally approved for that matter, it's all being based off of the information that you bring to the table at that time. If, after that process is complete, something significant changes, like you increase your debt schedule, you change jobs, your income changes, maybe you spend some of the money you had set aside for the down payment, the list goes on and on. Those things can totally change, the approval. And so you just have to be, a good lender, and there's a lot of good ones out there, is going to have that conversation with you to ask you to please, keep that stuff in mind, at least maybe bounce it off the lender to make sure that whatever it is you have planned or unplanned for that matter, so you can kind of explore how that's going to affect the loan approval.
There's a lot of people out there that are thinking about, I'm really looking at a house. I got 6 months left in my lease. How can they prep themselves? You and I have had this conversation in the past. I know we had to get my scores up a little bit to hit a tier for the interest rate that I wanted or that you could offer me. So touch a little bit on that, Chris. I always said, I'll just wipe all my debts out and bring everything to zero. And you said, well, stop, halt. So there's some tricks of the trade that you've kind of learned. No guarantees with anything, but what's some tricks of the trade to bring that score up, to position yourself in the best position to get the best rate that, is offered on the market today?
So, rates, so there's so much that goes into what the rate is that the consumer is going to be offered. Credit score, the occupancy type, the amount of down payment, the sales price, and the list. There's quite a few things that get layered into that. But the best piece of advice I can get is that if you're thinking about buying a home in the next 90 to 6 months to even a year, is to connect with the lender and ask them some real good questions, that you just want to understand better, and really just listen to how they explain it. You can learn a lot from a person's level of experience just by their explanation of the information. But the earlier you can connect with the lender, the better off you are, the greater chance you have of getting a good loan, understanding the process better, and looking into ways that you can obtain the best financing possible when the time comes for you.
I know you're in the process to do the Barton Creek Lending Facebook page because you went from one lender to another. So I know that'll be up. So as soon as that official Facebook page comes up from Chris Beltran, visit that a lot. He's going to give you some good information. How to purchase a home, how to look at some of the tricks that he can show you to help put you in the best financial position to purchase this home, because it is the biggest investment they're going to make, Chris.
Yep.
So follow Chris on Facebook. He'll have some other good news on there very soon. So it'll be Barton Creek Lending. So he'll be attached to the Real Estate Today Facebook page, so you can jump on that at any given time, and we'll connect all Chris's information there. So good stuff.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to bring up is, so in the actual process, Chris, so when they've done the pre-approval and all that's set in stone and they've picked a price, when you deal with a jumbo loan, that's a whole different category of a loan, because at a certain tier, you actually have to either put more down, correct?
Right.
Or you have to do a second mortgage. I did a jumbo loan with you. I did a second mortgage just because it financially made better sense to me. Mm-hmm. But do you want to touch on that real quick?
Yeah, so your jumbo space is going to be a loan that exceeds the conforming loan limit, and that varies by essentially from state to state. So, if you're buying in Texas, it's I want to say it's $424,100. It was $417 forever and a day.
It was. I knew that.
It recently changed, and I'm pretty sure that's amounts within a couple $100 of the actual limit. But
did that recently just change? Like, honestly, that just recently changed, right?
Yeah, I can't remember the date. It's been a couple months.
Sure.
Give or take.
Okay.
But ultimately, whenever your loan amount after your down payment exceeds that dollar amount, the actual guidelines that are applicable to your scenario change significantly in terms of what they will allow, what they won't allow, and there's just a lot that goes on behind that. So, again, it just goes back to having a good framework, a frame of mind with regards to what you want to accomplish with the purchase of your home, and then really just asking a ton of questions of your lender with regards to what you can do. Is there anything you can do to ensure you get the best rate possible whenever the time comes? And the earlier you get a jump on that, the better off you're going to be.
Knowledge is power at the end of the day, right? Because the more information that you have, the more questions you ask, the better possibility of you getting a better deal, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
one of the best pieces of advice I can give to anyone that's thinking about buying a home is to look at your own credit, look at investing in some sort of a credit monitoring system so you can actually see any changes happening to your credit as you're preparing to buy a home. You just want to be aware of that stuff. I've seen folks that have been pre-qualified with a 780 credit score who then felt everything was in alignment to go buy a home. They go write a contract. The credit report had since expired. We pull new credit, and they've got a medical collection or some other little minuscule collection account that took them from a 780 to a 680, and then it just completely changes the face.
So
of the loan.
honestly, I mean, that one medical record could do that.
It could.
How do you get those removed? I know we're almost out of time.
But you have to contact the credit bureaus and dispute them.
Yeah,
it's a whole process. I mean, there's credit restoration experts that could probably go into that in more detail. Mm-hmm. But the net is that you have to connect with each of the individual credit report agencies and or the creditor that put the stuff on your credit report and work through them and with them to try to get it removed if you can.
What's the number for people to get a hold of you again, Chris?
Yep, 512-563-8471.
Great. We're going to head to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
bye.
Matt, sorry, we're producing again. Okay, here we go. Welcome back to the Real Estate Today Show. I'm your host, Jason Randall, and in the studio today we have Markus with Priority Title.
Hello, everybody.
And we have Barton Creek Lending, Chris Beltran.
Hello, Austin.
And Remax Elite, Patricia Guerrero.
Hi.
Okay, awesome. Hey, so here's what I wanted to go over in this segment. So, Priority Title. So tell us a little bit about, Priority Title. You came to me, my office, and told me what you did. Open-armed, I said, I love it. Now, tell everybody why Priority Title, man.
Yeah, there's three very simple answers to that, Jason. Thank you for that. Number one, it's our fee structure. We have the lowest fee structure in the state of Texas. Refinances, for example, it's a $0 escrow fee. We only charge the title rates in the state of Texas, which are the same for all title companies. On purchase transactions, we only charge $199 to the buyer and to the seller. So it's, again, the lowest fees in the state of Texas, which is pretty cool. That's a good savings for your customers, right?
Sure.
The other side of it is we have awesome service. We have Chelsea, who's one of our escrow officers. She's fantastic here in the Austin market. She does a great job. And then lastly, one of the things that separates us from all the other title companies, in all honesty, is we offer our clients the ability to close anywhere they want to close.
So I got to chime in. Sorry. So
Which I love
Patricia, tell us a little bit about your first closing. Tell us what you're going to do.
My first closing with Priority Title is going to be very exciting. We're very excited. So
where?
I have a little connects here and there, and we're actually closing in the capital. Yay!
Really?
Yes. Very excited.
So it really brings excitement. So typically what you see in the title companies, you go into a title company office, you walk in the front door and they say, would you like something to drink? And can you sit down and wait for the escrow officer? And then you go into the four walls with a long table and you sit and close, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Wah, wah, wah.
Well, and it's already a big
Sorry.
transaction in life.
Yeah.
So going and making it like that much scarier, it's like an office. We're sitting there and it's like, okay, we come here for this one reason. We're signing a million papers and then I'm over it by the end. And then they're like, okay, I'm tired.
So
Let's go
everybody
move.
goes places and does things because it brings excitement. So
course.
this is the excitement that it brought to my office. When I brought it to Chris and told Chris what we were doing, he was jazzed. He knew that this would be a game changer in our office, and it's a game changer with a lot of offices around that you're working with. You went to an office and told them about it. You called me immediately when you were done. You're like, Jason, dude, I told them everything I'm doing. They're jazzed. I love it. So it's going to be really exciting. So, you have a choice as a consumer which title company you use. And I know there's a lot of realtors that actually watch our show. So, if you want to get a hold of Markus, reach out to Markus. Give me your information, Markus.
Absolutely. My cell phone number is 412-848-2581. And my email address is moverheu, Overheu, at prioritytitleus.com.
Best service and most exciting, adventurous closing you'll ever be involved in real estate. Good job,
Ever.
Markus.
Thank you.
Super
No,
exciting.
we're looking forward to it. Maybe we can talk a little bit about it later, Jason. But we want to do a challenge out there too, and so I'll leave that to you to discuss a little bit.
I love that. He's bringing up the challenge. I love it. So we'll go into that the last segment. But here's the things I want to go over now, kind of a little bit. So, Chris, a little bit about lending itself as a whole. Tell the consumers. We've talked about the pre-approval. It's been pretty self-explanatory.
Right.
We've talked about the jumbo loans. What about your first-time home buyers? I mean, you have all the different programs that we know. If we brought every program up, it would take literally we'd be here for 5 hours, and we'll have 1 hour. So tell us the nuts and bolts for maybe your first-time home buyer or even your second or third home buyers. How do you choose the program? So when you're looking at somebody and they've given you the whole background of what they want based on all the criteria, how do you find the best loan for them since they are making, as Markus and I just said at the break, they're making the most important decision, the most financial decision they're ever going to make.
Right.
What is it, Chris?
So generally, you're going to ask the customer what their objective is with regards to buying the house. Like, do they plan on, is this their forever home? Is it something that they see themselves in for the next 5 years, 10 years until the kids get out of school, or what's the premise behind how long do you plan on staying there? And really, you also center around a lot of what monthly payment are you trying to come in at? Because usually, whatever that payment goal is, where they're comfortable from an affordability perspective, that's going to help kind of drive what program they end up going with.
Are you seeing a lot of people still go to the ARMs? So when you say 5 years, so let's say Markus turns to you and says, hey, I only want to live in the 5 years. I'm moving into something bigger, better, or we're custom building on the land that we have out in Dripping Springs. What are you still seeing that? And
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, they're out there. You've got, generally a 5 is usually the shortest term that you would see on an adjustable rate mortgage. But you've got a 5, a 7, and a 10. And people that are relocating in the Austin area that know they're going to be here, let's just say for 3 years. A lot of those folks are considering a 7 or a 10-year ARM because they have every plan. They fully expect to be listing the house, 6 months before they leave, which is up in 4 years, and so they're going to be out. They want the lowest payment possible. So yeah, I mean, there are people that know. And we tend to try to put, once we kind of know the background, we kind of try to provide them as many options as possible so they can make an informed decision.
How do they get a hold of you, Chris?
If they call me at 512-563-8471, you can reach me directly. And the whole thing is this: is that when you call and we talk, that's all it's going to be is a conversation. What's your goals? How much are you interested in putting down? Just getting some general information and just having a general conversation.
Not even pulling credit sometimes. Sometimes it's just a casual conversation.
Just a convo. Just to talk about anything that that you may potentially want to be aware of leading into the process. There may be things that you've got to do to get prepared for it, so on and so forth. And so just having that topical conversation puts you at ease and you have a better grip on what you're doing.
With your clients, Patricia, that's kind of a hard, kind of sticky topic is lending. How do you feel, about having that conversation and, getting Chris involved? What are your clients? Are they kind of standoffish a little bit? What are you seeing? And of course, it's case by case, but what are you typically seeing? And what can you advise these consumers out there that are listening to you? What can you advise them?
Well, typically, they ask like how much down and all these more specific questions that if I were to give them information about that, I'm not a lender, so I can't, specify too much. But that's where he's very important, because if they want a realistic number, just give him a call and he can give you a breakdown of even more information.
Okay.
That you possibly didn't even know. You probably are kind of looking at, at a price range and you're like, oh yeah, I could totally do that. And, internet can only help you so much, but he's just so specific that why not?
So, Chris, let me ask you this question. So, consumer calls you today and they start working on their application. They submit it. What is typically the turnaround time that you can give them a preliminary answer and a time? What kind of time frame is that?
We want to try to get it turned around within a day, 24 hours.
Okay.
But we need to, generally what will happen is someone will give us an online application. They're going to put the information to the best of their knowledge, to the best of their ability, with regards to their income, to your employment history, their assets, and what they kind of have in terms of a portfolio for the approval. And then we want to obtain that the supporting documentation that allows us to match that up and make sure that it's accurate, so that we're giving them some good feedback.
What are the analysts telling you possibly with these interest rates? Are you seeing? we've already had one hike this year, correct?
Rates are very volatile right now.
Okay.
What
are they? What are you seeing? I know you're not. Just from what the analysts say, what are you seeing? Are you going to see? And it's all speculation, of course. Do you think we'll get to fives? Maybe.
I'll be honest with you. I hope that we don't get to the 5% range.
Yep.
For some programs, we're already at 5.
Okay. What programs are those? Because the consumers just heard you say that. What program would be 5?
So I'm not quoting rates, number one, but I would just tell you that if you're buying a home for an investment property, and you can do that for as little as 15% down.
Yeah.
And so you're taking, what an investor would consider probably amongst the riskiest type of purchase that they can back. Then that's going to have a higher interest rate associated with it versus one where you are buying it to move in and putting 20% down.
See, and I think that's good that the consumers hear this, Chris, because they don't understand this. They just look at, I'm getting a 4.25, and I know you're not quoting rates today, but 4.25 or, whatever the rates are, that's how they look at it. But they need to understand with somebody like you that actually has so much resources out there where you can educate them with this is a risky loan if you don't put this percentage down or you do put this percentage down. And even when they just make that initial call just to talk about it, just to get
to have a combo.
Yes.
Well, that's one of the benefits of having somebody here instead of like a big bank. You can call him on his phone number, which he'll give in a second, I'm sure. Yeah. And you can get very into detail. And if you have any question about, interest rates or anything with the information that you've given him, he will give you a very detailed explanation of that for sure.
Yeah.
Chris taught me one thing when he did my mortgage. He taught me something very important, that when you have a rate that you like and your lender's quoting you that rate and it is within your means, lock it. Don't wait. He's smiling at me because I was like, I'm a gambler. We can get a little bit lower. Yeah. And he can't tell you, hey, rates are going up or down. That's not a loan officer's, position. Mm-mm. They can tell you what typically they're seeing. But from that perspective, when you find that rate, lock it. And how do you lock it, Chris? How do you lock an interest rate? Because in their minds, they don't know what that means. They're like, locking it means what, Chris?
I mean, essentially, when a loan officer locks the interest rate, that means that the price for that rate has been protected with the investor
For a certain amount of time.
For a certain amount of time.
Okay.
So it's earmarked for that loan,
Okay.
that property, for that consumer.
Okay.
And right now with the political environment that we're in and all the the economy, having its really strong moments and then digressing and all the stuff that's happening internationally, just like the stock market and various investments, rates are very volatile. So to your point, if everything centers around the payment. The payment, the interest rate obviously drives the payment to a certain point. But if you can get into a payment that you're comfortable with, regardless of what the rate is, you should seriously consider locking it because, that rate could be gone tomorrow. It's literally that simple. Rates went up significantly after Trump got elected.
Yep.
The economy seems to be doing really well. And,
Yep.
hopefully they don't continue to go up. But, I mean, they're just what we had to offer in, July, August, September is just not there anymore.
Yep. So thank you so much, Chris, for that information, and we will be right back.
About to die.
Okay, ready?
Okay,
Let's go.
cool.
Let me
We're
tell
ready.
you something.
Okay, and welcome back to the Real Estate Today Show. Again, I'm your host, Jason Randall, and in the studio we have Markus with Priority Title,
How you doing?
and we also have Chris Beltran with Barton Creek Lending,
Hey.
and Remax Elite Patricia Guerrero.
Hola.
There we go. Okay, so this episode we're going to talk about is buying a home. So this is going to be a roundtable just to ask some questions to myself about buying a home. So Chris, I'll go ahead and let you start with the first question you have, which
Pros
was
and cons, resale versus new construction. Hit me.
love the question. So I have a client right now that is a friend. His name is Jeff. He was with the Orchid Society. He's thinking about purchasing a home. And he told me he is going to only go new. And he said the reason is I don't want the issues that you have when you take on a pre-existing home. I have one guard, and Elaine Maxey, you're amazing. And basically, basically, one guard.
Yeah.
It's a home warranty company.
I see.
The best.
The best. When you buy a home, you get a warranty, home warranty, and you can get your home worked on if there's issues. And I think I've got about 4 months left, and my air conditioner went kapooey, and the evaporator coil went out. And what that means was I had to actually call OneGuard. And I contacted OneGuard, and they came out to diagnose the problem, found the problem, and I got a check. They wanted to replace it with a system I didn't want to replace it with, so I said, I'll just take a check. And I called a local gentleman, Ryan's with Anders Air Conditioning Heating. Shout out. Great guy. He's done a great job for me. Did it really quick. One call yesterday. Had it done before noon today. I have air conditioning.
Nice.
So, anyways, resales, that's what happens when you get a resale sometimes. Good inspector, doesn't matter. Just things happen. I did not use Mike Gage on this house. I used somebody else, but I have recently chosen to use Mike Gage. He has done an amazing job. So giving you guys some people to contact, Mike Gage is an inspector that I've used and had huge success.
He's amazing too.
You've used him a couple times?
I've used him a couple of times, and let me tell you, my clients love him. He's just so detail oriented. I mean, everything you want to know, he will be frank, he will be honest, and he will tell you everything. So, one of the best guys I feel out there.
So his direct number, Mike Gage, is 512-217-0110. Big Sky Inspections. Does an amazing job. So
Amazing.
if you ever need an inspector, Big Sky, Mike Gage, great guy. So, but the difference between new home and resale definitely is that. Resale, you're going to have repairs. The new homes, you don't. Now, typically what you do see is on resales a little bit less, and new homes are a little bit more. So could be anywhere from 5 to 20% higher depending on the area you're in.
Got it.
So that's one thing. But Markus, we were at the break and we were talking about new homes. You would only go new home.
Yeah, that's a personal preference of mine. Just I've looked at resales too in my life, and I think there's some really good ones out there. But I like the involvement that you have with the new home as far as designing your own home in that sense, right? You can go to the design studio, pick out what you like, and have really a good input over how the structure and how the layout is going to be of the house. So I do like that. And the other cool thing is nobody's lived there before, right? So, but you know, it's a preference to each that has to fit to each individually themselves. And there's pros and cons for either side. But me personally, I like the new build, the new constructions.
So the funny thing is, and a lot of people don't know this, was I actually sold new homes for about 5 years. And I was really good. But I have to be honest, I'm not as good as Chris Beltran's wife. Give her a shout out.
Boom.
Tell her a little about
Rochelle Lord, Meritage Homes.
Amazing.
She's been at it for a long time.
Top salesperson in all of the
19
Austin.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what?
Nice job.
I think she came in at top salesperson nationally for Meritage Homes.
She's
On
amazing.
a national level.
That's what they call a power couple.
Yes.
Yes, power couple.
But it's all, you know what it is? It's all about, she's an education.
MC Hammer
she
says you can't touch this.
educates the consumers on what they, what their choices are. And that's why I really think that they gravitate towards her, because she can break down
Yeah.
She's
the
amazing.
construction process,
And knowledge is power. I mean, with
Super
every
nuts.
single industry, with new home, resale, lenders, title, if you have all of the information, you're able to make your choices. And that's what I tell my clients all the time.
Right.
I'm just giving you here the options, giving you everything that I know so you can make a very knowledgeable decision on everything that you do. Very important stuff.
One thing I find interesting, though, is that when it comes to new homes, right, the general, the encouragement is that you use the preferred lender of the builder. And a lot of consumers don't realize that they really do have a choice when it comes to that. For instance, our company, Barton Creek Lending, extraordinarily competitive organization, fantastic products, fantastic rates, the whole 9 yards. And a lot of times, our offer to a consumer will be the same, if not better, than what they may be getting offered for new construction to use a preferred lender. So they're getting the same loan, same credit, matching the credit, sometimes even beating it. And they get to work with the mortgage consultant that they have grown to trust and who has helped them, over the last 2, 3, 4, whatever number of months to get them prepared to buy a home, versus feeling, pushed in the direction of using a lender that they're not familiar with.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is you have literally over 48 years experience of real estate, just us three.
Boom.
That's
Crazy.
a lot.
It's a whole lot.
That's wonderful, yeah.
A lot of knowledge. So when you guys tune into our radio show, you get that. You get, 48 years of somebody who has literally lived in a lot of different situations, good, bad, and
The ugly.
there is some. And that's just the nature of, real estate. And that's our goal every single week is to come in and give you, the consumers, more information. And, Realtor sometimes, they're listening to our shows too. They want to hear, what's latest trending, what's trending in title, what's trending in, real estate, new areas, new developments. So the exciting part about, I think, all of this is that, we're just trying to make a difference in Austin. We as a whole, I think our numbers, my personal numbers for my RE/MAX Elite office, we have doubled our business from last year to this year. Patricia had a record month. She blew numbers out of the water, came to me with nothing. When it came to real estate experience,
All I knew was to cut hair.
she knew how to cut hair, but she came here and she just, her natural soul and her ability, what gets her where she's at. But just coming to RE/MAX Elite and going through my training programs and literally spending every waking day with me for a year, and now she's even had time. I don't know how she fits this in her time, dudes, but she is in school. She is in school, closing. I think she's got.
Yeah.
I got 6
trend-
for April.
That's crazy.
And I'm
Awesome.
going with 12 credits to school right now. It's kind of crazy.
goodness.
Yeah, it's insane.
Real estate agents getting
How are you
6.
here right now?
I don't sleep.
Right?
It's called makeup, guys.
That's why.
Congratulations.
That's
Awesome.
why Lane did not get a haircut.
Right?
No.
Not going to touch that one.
But that's the fun we have here. We like to really make it fun. And, you and I talked yesterday, I think, when I was in the drive-thru at McDonald's, which I hate to admit to that over the radio, which was not a good call. It was a bad choice. But you told me when you went to that, that office, that other ex-office, real estate office, and told them what you did, how much excitement did you get? What was it like to hear their response when you say, hey, I'm going to change your title world? And they're like, title world? How do you change title?
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah, that's entirely true, Jason. Right? That's what we talked about earlier. Title has this this acronym that is kind of boring, right? You need it, but let's make it exciting. Let's make it fun. And that's kind of our mantra, what we've gone out there to do and say, let's offer the closing at the consumer's time, when they want to close, when they want to sign the document.
You heard it first here on 1370 AM. We are going to make title change as a whole, and there's going to be leaders and there's going to be followers, and everybody's going to start following Priority Title because this is going to change your experience. Everybody lives in this world today for experience, right? You're in here, this world, to have an experience in life, right? If we can better your experience and make it more fun, what are they going to do?
Yeah. And to be part of that excitement of somebody buying a home or selling a home. And I just want to say real quick, Jason, and I think the audience heard it here today, how important a team is around your real estate needs. And you heard it from Patricia today, from Chris, from Jason. All of us, we care so much about what we do, and we just want to be part of the excitement of buying and selling homes.
Yeah, and I just feel so blessed to be a part of somebody choosing me, to such a big thing of their life. I mean, it's a life-changing thing. You're calling a place, that new place, your home, where you're going to create memories. You're going to be a part of it, Chris. You're going to be a part of it, Marcus, because the closing, let's say in the Capitol, will forever be. I got married at the Capitol, for example. I'm going to close my house at the Capitol. It's just exciting things. And that's the way it should be. It's a new phase in your life. It's a new chapter. So
well said. Well said.
Awesome to be a part of it.
It's definitely going to change the title world as we speak. So that's good stuff. And, Chris Beltran, him and I have been doing this for 5 years. It is amazing to see Chris's numbers go out the roof. The reason we're doing so well is because Chris does a lot of our loans. I mean, we give all kinds of lenders out, but they always convert back to Chris because the loyalty and, making sure things close on time as we can. Things do have extensions when things have to have extensions, but not common. And, having raving fans about Chris Beltran's huge.
I appreciate you saying that, Jason. For me, it's all about communication and, taking the time to actually explain why things are the way they are, helping people to really get their mind around, what's the step from A to Z for me to actually get the keys to my home? What all is involved? How stressful is it going to be? Are you going to deliver it to me in a stressful manner? Or are you going to kind of, give it to me in ways that it makes sense? Can you really help me? Or, or am I just another application that you just received? So
let me say this. So let's get our information out there for everybody. So Markus, where can everybody get a hold of you to move forward as a title company that their office can use, or an individual that's out there listening that, wants to write a contract and they want to have fun and they want to have a title company has, you said the lowest fees in Texas, and you also have a exciting place to close. How do they get a hold of you?
They get a hold of me on my cell phone. It's 412-848-2581, or via email, again, MOVERHEU @PriorityTitleUS.com.
Chris Beltran, how do they get a hold of you?
You can call me at 512-563-8471. You can shoot me a text at the same, or you can shoot me an email at chris@bartoncreeklending.com.
Miss Guerrero, how do the people get a hold of you to buy a house?
You can find me on Facebook, Patricia Guerrero, Realtor. You can email me, Patricia@AustinEliteHomes.com. Or you can call or text me in my phone number, 512-713-3345.
And also, we're at talk1370.com every Sunday, 10 a.m. You can reach me at 512-736-1593, or you can always jump on our website at AustinEliteHomes.com. Thanks, and I hope you guys have a great week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We said bye at the same time.
Bam.